sharpest football contest show in the land. The Las Vegas Football Contest Show focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I would say a phenomenal year for the UConn graduate, as Paige Beckers could have came out last year to the WNBA. And she decided to come out this year. It would have been interesting if it would have been Paige or Caitlin Clark. I don't think it would have been as slam dunk as people think to go to Caitlin Clark.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left on it for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always happy to have my main man, Tyrone A. Johnson, chilling here today after a huge loss for him last night. Cannot handicap a game to save his life.
Come on.
Today is also an anniversary. Many people may not remember, but it was 24 years ago today that we had what we refer to here in New York as the Mo Lewis moment. And it's not a good moment historically in the annals for New York Jet football fans, because September 23rd, 2001, the very first football game that the Jets played after the 9/11 attacks, the games that brought us all together as a country, united us as one, is the Mo Lewis game. Well, what's the Mo Lewis game? 24 years ago today, Mo Lewis knocked the internal organs out of the body of Drew Bledsoe, damn near killing him. All right, well, you shed a tear for Drew Bledsoe. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it brought us that no-good rascal, Tom Brady. So today, while many of you are celebrating a Lions win over Baltimore, we're going to get into that game in just 1 second. Guys like me, lifelong diehard Jet fans, wake up today under a bit of a cloud. And it's a gorgeous day in New York today, 75 degrees. It's the Jewish New Year. Kids are home, family time, good times.
Yeah.
Had a football game last night, having lunch with the kids today. But today's a bad day. Today is the day that the New York Jets unwittingly leashed Tom Brady on the NFL community. And today's the day that we have to apologize. It's not Yom Kippur, but today's the day of apology for us Jet fans to everybody else in the NFL. Sorry, we're the Jets. Now, let's get to last night's game, because here's a reality that we have to come into agreement on, and that is, as awesome as the Baltimore Ravens look, and damn it, there are days they look like they're the best football team to ever play football. I'm watching them last night again, and I have this weird feeling every year about Baltimore. I'm always surprised when the Ravens don't score, because when they do score, it's always so easy. Bing, 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 touchdown. Whether it's, it doesn't even matter who it is, whether it's Flowers, whether it's Andrews, whether it's Lamar, whether it's Henry, I'm surprised when anybody stops them. But I've come to the reality that the Baltimore Ravens cannot be trusted. They can't. The Baltimore Ravens beat up on every bad team. The Baltimore Ravens win division titles, great. The Baltimore Ravens have MVPs, great. The Baltimore Ravens have leading rushers. They have defense, Pro Bowlers, the whole thing. But in a big spot, the DNA of Baltimore is that you can't trust those rascals. They have now scored 38 or 30-plus points in all 3 games. They had a 40-burger week 1, but you can't trust them. They blew a 15-point lead with 4.5 minutes to go against the Buffalo Bills, and they lose.
Yep.
They come back with a 40-burger again. They get their first win of the season against a lesser opponent. And then last night, they put another 30 points on the board. But here's the problem. It's twofold. One, Derrick Henry is now Tiki Barber. Great running back who can't hold on to the football.
Yeah.
Remember when Tiki went from low to high, low to high? Well, Derrick Henry's fumbled in every game this year. And you're talking about a guy that only had 17 fumbles for his Hall of Fame career, but in the playoffs last year, fumble against Buffalo. In the 3 games they've played this year, fumble, fumble, fumble. And the guy that's going to take all the heat is the wrong guy. Because people are going to say, Derrick Henry, it's fine. He can be trusted. And I'm telling you, maybe Derrick Henry can't be trusted. Because as great as he is, down a touchdown, driving, they get down to about the 3-yard line, and everyone's yelling, hey, Todd Monken, let's not forget, run the football, run the football.
Yeah.
You're a running team, and he runs Derrick Henry 3 times, essentially up the gut, gets 1 yard, doesn't score, and on a 4th down, they ask Lamar Jackson to be a hero, and he gets sacked, the ball comes out, and whatever, Detroit gets the ball, instead of on their own 1, Detroit gets the ball on their own 20. Much different scenario. But here's what bothers me most about the Baltimore Ravens that's going to have to be discussed, and they're going to have to own up to it. Their defense is a problem. Because when you blow a 15-point lead on the road in the opener against the Buffalo Bills in the last 4.5 minutes and give up a 40-burger to the Buffalo Bills, it is a problem. That's one of the teams you're going to have to beat to win a Super Bowl. When the Detroit Lions, and we've seen 2 different Lions teams prior to last night's game, the embarrassingly bad performance against the Packers, and then the, oh my God, their back performance last week. Well, guess what? The Detroit Lions had not 1 but 2 90-plus yard drives that ended in points. The Detroit Lions went on the field, and this made no sense other than what Dan Campbell does, with 1:56 to go, up by a touchdown on a 4th and 3, and threw the ball 15 yards down the field. Why? Because, A, that's their DNA. That's what Dan Campbell does. And if he has a chance to end a game right now, he's got the balls and the confidence to end the game right now. Very few teams have that DNA. That's why we all love Dan Campbell. But the flip side is he wasn't worried about the Ravens' defense.
Not at all. Not at all. And who would have thought we'd get to a day where the Ravens' defense stinks? But they stink.
Yeah. I mean, the Ravens' defense has given up over 100 points this year in 3 games. And here's now what we get, because the results of last night's game were obvious. They both 1-1 coming in. So now you've got a 1-2 football team.
Yep.
We now have the greatest matchup. It won't be till Sunday afternoon, so we have all week to talk about it. The greatest 1-2 matchup in the history of the NFL. You've got the Baltimore Ravens. I still think offensively the best team in football. I don't trust their defense. They cannot win a Super Bowl with this current defense.
No way.
Which means maybe at some point Harbaugh should take some responsibility for how they're playing, okay?
Absolutely.
But you now have what should be the greatest Week 4 matchup of 1-2 teams. It's the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday afternoon. The loser, 1-3, and in serious trouble. The winner, back to 500, all is well, and we can exercise the demons based on which team wins.
Yeah.
But I know today's only Tuesday. I can't wait for Sunday afternoon.
That is a massive
because
day.
For them both to be under 500, neither defense is very good. Both still have the rock star quarterbacks. I think Baltimore should beat them by 30. Because I don't know how we'll get to it later in the week, but I cannot wait for Chiefs and Ravens. I'm all jacked up for it. We have lots cooking today. Something happened yesterday. I have made a career out of trying not to comment on what other broadcasters say because I don't care what other broadcasters have to say. It's never been my thing. Like, I can't believe so-and-so said what.
Right.
I'd rather they talk about what I say or what you say on this show. Can't believe what Tyrone Johnson said. Can't believe what Carton said.
People say that a lot.
Because I get it. We're all out there, fighting for the same views and clicks and whatnot. But something happened yesterday that does, I think, warrant my attention, our attention, because it's dangerous, it's problematic, and no one else really has the guts, I guess, or the backbone to deal with it head-on live television. So we'll take care of this whole Bruce Pearl, Michael Wilbon situation coming up in just a little bit. We've got our weekly top 5 rankings, power rankings, who are the 5 best NFL teams in all football. We got that coming up. I got an update on the whole Tom Brady Saudi Arabia thing.
Oh, you got an update from yesterday.
Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. I've got an update on that. And I've something, I hate to be a negative guy on a beautiful Tuesday, but American athletes are embarrassing themselves this week in a manner in which I find highly unacceptable.
Athletes?
Athletes. There's a group of American athletes that are embarrassing themselves and embarrassing our good name as Americans.
Oh, I don't like that.
And I don't like it one little bit. And we're going to get into that. We got some Deion Sanders stuff for you today. We got some Cowboy stuff for you today. And we got a very touchy situation for Lane Kiffin down at Ole Miss as they get ready for LSU today as well. As a father, I say that. I know you're not a parent, but as a father.
This is a touch. No, I know what's going on.
Tough.
What do you do?
Tough spot for me.
I don't know what he can do.
Tough spot.
I don't know what he can do.
Tough spot for me. It's tough. It's coming up. It's tough. But as those of you waking up today, tune us on and recognize it is Mo Lewis Day. We apologize to the rest of the NFL, other than New England, for giving you Tom Brady on a silver platter. We got lots of cooking today. Don't touch it.
There are right now 10 teams who are 0-2. Every team on this list is 0-2. These are the 7 teams through 2 weeks who have already been eliminated from the Super Bowl picture. First, the Cleveland Browns, who I believe were the worst team coming into this season. The Cleveland Browns are absolutely done.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Josh Heupel. I mean, please, dude, you got to be kidding me. How do you lose this game at home when you've got Georgia on the ropes with a iffy quarterback at best there in Gunnard, and you somehow figure out a way to lose that game? A game, Donnie, of which was pretty much in hand for Notre Dame, 3/4 of it.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. We're going to have to figure out by the end of the show if you trust Derrick Henry in a big spot these days. 3 fumbles this year, 3 cracks at the goal line to get in to tie the game in the first half, 0 for 3 on the attempts to score the touchdown, and you had the late fumble, which was a huge part of that second half. He's one of the great running backs of all time, but it's a fair question.
Oh, yeah.
3rd and 4, tight game. Do you trust him? I don't know that you do.
I have to leave it in Lamar's hands.
I trust Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, leave it in Lamar's hands.
Lamar Jackson ain't why they lost last night. I can tell you that. The offensive line stunk. Yeah. The defense stunk. And Derrick Henry giving the ball up. Something happened yesterday, though. I think that warrants our attention. I want to be clear again. I typically refrain from commenting on what other broadcasters or commentators say on their shows because we're all competing against one another to get views and clicks and all that stuff. And I'd rather people talk about what we do. But every now and then, someone will say something, and it's not, shtick. It's not for attention. It's obviously what they truly believe, and I find it objectionable. I'm going to use our platform and microphone here at SportsGrid and Red Seat and Fox, and of course on YouTube and everywhere else we are to comment on it. So yesterday on PTI on ESPN, Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser were doing their thing, and they acknowledged the story about Auburn. And Bruce Pearl, their coach for the last 11 years, basketball coach, and how he's stepping down. He's going to be a consultant, I guess, in some capacity for Auburn basketball. And his son now gets a 5-year deal. Well, I want to play for you what Michael Wilbon said because I find it harmful. I find it dangerous. And someone needs to do something about it.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's at a level where, there's a smugness to it, a glibness to it. And no one challenged him on what he said, which was a problem for me. But let me first play it for you. So this is yesterday on PTI. Go ahead, guys.
Tony, he become a divisive person, it seems to me, intentionally. And I hope there was pressure to just get him out.
All right, so he says that Bruce Pearl became a divisive person intentionally, and he hopes that he got fired. That's what Michael Wilbon said. And I'm sitting there going, well, time out for a second. Who appointed you the director of morality in this country? And when you come out and say something about a man who's dedicated his lives to coaching and coaching young men, for you to come out and say he's divisive, those are action words to me. You're now attacking the credibility of a human being, and you're attacking what he stands for, right? So I gave it some thought. Well, what could have possibly happened for Michael Wilbon to announce to millions of people in America that Bruce Pearl is divisive? Because that's a negative. That's putting a guy down. It's taking a shot at a guy. And I bring you back to March when Auburn was on a great run to their second Final Four in 6 years. He's the greatest coach Auburn's ever had in basketball.
For sure.
Winningest coach over the last 11 years. And he came out at a press conference when they won their Sweet 16 game to advance to the Elite Eight. And he said, before I say what I want to say, I want to let you know that I asked my team, the players on my team, permission to do this. I wanted to make sure my team was okay with what I'm about to do. And they all told me, Coach, go do it. And what he did was he went at used the platform of an NCAA press conference to make people and encourage people to remember that there were still hostages in Gaza. Bruce Pearl's a Jewish American.
Right.
Obviously, there's a greater sensitivity for Jews based on what's going on out there.
As it should be. I'm saying as a non-Jew, in my opinion, it should be.
Yeah, it should be for all of us. There are people being held hostage. I don't want to get too deep into it. But that's what he said. He said, I want to make sure everybody remembers Edon Alexander, an Israeli American who at the time was being held hostage. And I made sure my team was okay with it. I asked their permission. The period, stop.
Right.
That's the only thing this is about. So Michael Wilbon finds that to be divisive. Well, shame on you, Michael Wilbon. I don't know that you're an anti-Semite, but you sound like one. Am I being responsible if I accuse you of being one? Because you said that a head coach using his platform to remind people of hostages being held in a foreign land is divisive? When he took the temperature of his own locker room first and asked his players for permission? How is that divisive? Just come out and say it. You hate Trump, he loves Trump, so he's being divisive to your way of thinking. He wants people to remember the atrocities that are happening in Gaza and get our own citizens and all the hostages home. You clearly don't agree with that stance, and I suppose you'd rather they stay there and be brutalized because that, according to you, is somehow divisive. And to make it the comment in the smug manner you made it, and then have your lapdog sitting next to you, and Tony Kornheiser, who has nothing at all to say in retort to that comment about Bruce Pearl being divisive and hoping that he got fired. Well, shame on you, and shame on Tony Kornheiser for not standing up to you. And that's what's dangerous about this. We all have opinions. It's our job to give you our opinions. But when you attack a human being with no basis at all, and you're letting your own social views and thoughts and opinions and your political thoughts and opinions now color the way you talk about a different individual, and that individual doesn't have a chance to stand up for himself or defend himself, and you give no context at all to the word divisive, that's dangerous. And if ABC's pulling people off the air like Jimmy Kimmel, maybe they should consider pulling Michael Wilbon off the air. Because what Michael Wilbon did yesterday on PTI, in my opinion, as gross as what Jimmy Kimmel said about Charlie Kirk was, what Wilbon did is worse. Because it's unchecked. There's no context to it. And you're talking about a man who has dedicated his life to educating and coaching young people, predominantly African Americans who happen to play basketball.
Yeah.
All right? And he asked his team for permission to say what he said. And if he was so divisive on the campus of Auburn, I ask you this. Why is Auburn keeping him on the payroll as a consultant? Why is Auburn giving his son a 5-year contract to become their new head coach? It doesn't jive. So again, if you hate his politics, be honest with the audience and tell them that. If you don't want the hostages released, be honest and tell your audience that. If you're anti-Semitic, which you sound like you are, be honest and tell your audience that. But don't attack a man without giving him either the proper context to why you're attacking him or your audience some context to why you took the veiled shot. Bruce Pearl deserves better. And we collectively, as an audience, deserve better than you. You are not, even though you want to be, the self-appointed czar of morality and broadcasting and sports. Get off your high horse and look in the mirror once in a while. I don't think you're going to like what you see.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week,
They're ranked.
Okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
Devin
undefeated.
Leary still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can go
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
NFL season with about 750,000 downloads. Really interesting when you look at the third and the fourth spot. You have Bet365 and Fanatics, which were, again, that first week, they were the only sports books that grew. The good news for the other sports books in terms of downloads this week is even when you take out Fanatics and Bet365, app downloads still grew about 20% across the board overall.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left on it for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Thanks for being here. Tyrone Johnson here. He lost his pick last night. He couldn't afford breakfast. I took care of it.
But why are you so happy about it? Every time
I'm not.
when I'll go 3-0,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
I lose a game that you agreed with me on.
Yeah.
You don't gamble.
Right.
But then you come in here all happy.
No, I'm just saying.
You had extra pep in your step today when you arrived, mainly because I lost.
It's a little tough night for
you. Want me to lose. This is tough.
I want you to win.
You don't.
I'm your biggest supporter. I want you to win no matter what.
I feel like you want me here, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But you want me to fail while here.
Who else do I know that I can bring in here every morning that can quote boomerang with me? You're the only guy I got.
I was.
And I was so mad at myself. I went home yesterday going, you know the words coordinate. Why didn't you say you got to coordinate?
Anyway.
By the way, speaking of Tom Brady, today is Mo Lewis Day here in New York.
Yeah.
It's the 24th anniversary of Mo Lewis's hit on Drew Bledsoe that brought Tom Brady into the world. The Jets won that game, by the way, 10-3. It was the first game post 9/11, and it was a huge win, obviously 10-3 for the Jets. Tom Brady, he had two Hail Marys into the end zone late.
Yeah.
Neither one of them were caught, but the Jets got the win 10-3. But more importantly, we as a country were back. But, so a couple things on Tom Brady. Tom Brady had an interesting day yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked about the report that he was getting $75 million to play in the flag football game in Saudi Arabia coming up in March. I've talked to people very close to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And very close to the game that's being played in Saudi Arabia, okay?
Yeah.
I've been told unequivocally that Tom Brady, while I'm sure he's getting a lot of money, more so than what would seem normal to play flag football, I don't care what country you're playing, but it's nowhere near $75 million.
So that report.
And Tom, to his credit, he went online and also reacted to it from the original source of it.
Yeah.
Saying that, listen, you're just making stuff up. That ain't the number. But he also never gave a number.
No.
Because whatever the number is, I'm sure it's going to be obnoxious and it's going to be hard for regular people to justify or swallow, whatever the money is.
A lot of money, yeah.
75 is a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, if it turns out to be 30, it's still a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But I want to at least be accurate on this show.
Yeah.
And I was told from people very, very close to the situation at the time that while it's a decent number, whatever the number might be, it ain't $75 million. But I also, I vowed that I would never feel bad for Tom Brady because he's got this amazing life that we all probably envy at some level.
Yeah.
Yesterday was an interesting day for him. Number one, we come out and say he's making $75 million. He counters that and says, I'm not making it. Stop making stuff up. The original report. And now it's gone viral because of shows like ours. Like, we have millions of views talking about the game in Saudi Arabia. All right? So he's got to deal with that. And I guess it could be a little embarrassing, the type of money you're making.
Right.
And as much as you like making it, you don't really want people talking about it.
Do you need
I
that
get
kind of money? That's because that's how people react, even though they need it.
Oh, 30's not enough.
No,
50's not enough.
Right.
70's not enough, right?
Yeah. How much money do you need, Tom?
But now he's also under fire. And I think this is where, the public mob sometimes goes a little overboard.
Yeah.
So during the broadcast Sunday, the Dallas-Chicago game, he showed Pickens slamming his helmet down, right? Because he was frustrated, right?
Dallas was losing.
He had a drop that became an interception.
Yeah.
He did have a touchdown, a nice touchdown catch, the one-handed catch, but tough game, and Dallas got embarrassed by Chicago. And Brady trying to be kind of unscripted and glib with the audience, and he is getting better at it, to be fair. I think he's better than he was last year by a mile already.
He is.
He came out and said, and I'm quoting now, talking about Pickens slamming the helmet. He said, quote, kick the dog, throw the helmet, whatever it takes.
Right.
Now, I don't think, you see the quote there, I don't think for a minute that he meant that literally. I don't
agree.
think for a minute that Tom Brady abuses his dogs or has abused dogs. I took it for how he meant it. Like, when you're that frustrated, you got to take it out somehow, some way. Did he choose a bad analogy? 100%. If he could go back in time and do it again, he would not say kick the dog. And I get why Pete is out there now going, oh, Tom Brady hates dogs. And why, dog shelter owners Tom Brady hates dogs. It's despicable. He should be fired. It's okay to make a mistake once in a while with your words, right? I know dog owners are offended by it. I get it. But do you really think that Tom Brady is beating his dog or kicking his dog? Do you think he ever did? And I get why people are upset about it. I get it. But every once in a while, can we give a guy a little bit of grace when he said something that he doesn't mean literally? Yeah. Now, he hasn't commented on it. So the other part of this that's funny to me when you accuse him of making $75 million.
Hey, wait, what you talking about? $75 million, Jack?
Yeah, that seemed problematic to him.
Right.
He wants to make sure we all know he ain't making $75 million. When he says kick the dog, which he did not mean literally, I don't think at least, and people call him on it, I've not seen a retraction.
He's not worried about that.
But I want to defend him in this regard. Let's not go down this cancel culture route. Tom Brady does not do anything bad to his dogs. They're probably fed and treated better than we are. So, interesting day for Tom yesterday. More coming up.
Let's play a little game of buy or sell. It would appear from most of the reports, George, that Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. This is a long season, though, and they're already 0-3. Buy or sell, McDaniel will be the Dolphins' head coach at the end of the season.
He's going to get fired. All right, it's either now, later in the season, at the end of the season. He's not making it to next year. So the only question is, do they let him go towards the end of the season here? New York, Carolina, Chargers, Cleveland, Atlanta, Baltimore, bye. Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington going into that bye. And that Washington game, by the way, is in Europe somewhere. So I don't think he survives that. I don't think he's going to survive the bye week. I think it's going to go 1-3 of those games, maybe even lose all 4 of those games. No. And I think they will trade some players away, so they're going to be a worse team than they are now here. No, I'm going to sell this. He does not make it to the end of the season. I think they're going to fire him after week 11, if I had to guess. I think it's the perfect spot because not only is there a bye week, tough schedule beforehand, but then you have New Orleans at home. Good place for a new coach to start.
My thing is this, George, and here's why I am going to buy this. I think he's going to make it through the year and then he's going to be fired. Is because I just think it is rock bottom right now. They're 0-3. So, are they going to lose 3 consecutive games again this season? I don't think so. I think they're going to win 6 games or 7 games, which tells me it's win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, So I just think they make the change at the end of the year. If they're not going to make it now and they're 0-3, the only thing that I would say to caveat would be is if they lose in their next game. If they lose that next game, then 0-4, yes, I think it happens. I don't think they will, though. So I am going to buy this.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Good to have you, Tyrone Johnson here. Yep, he lost last night. That's right, if you're just tuning in. Time now, as we do every Tuesday, updated power rankings. I need a better name than power rankings. We'll try to come up with that during the next edible session. But we'll start you off. After last night's Baltimore Raven loss and beatdown loss, the Lions dominated them a lot of ways with 2 90-plus yard drives all the way down the field, 9, 10, 11-minute drives. We didn't even get to see enough Lamar Jackson for my money. But we'll start off with your honorable mentions, okay?
Okay.
Your honorable mentions, first time they've ever made the list, are the undefeated 3-0 division-leading Indianapolis Colts with Danny Indiana Jones. And an interesting honorable mention, considering they're not undefeated and they lost this week, don't sleep on the Arizona Cardinals. I know San Fran beat them on the late field goal. San Fran very fortunate to be 3-0. They've not played great football. Arizona's playing really good football. If they could just wake up that knucklehead Marvin Harrison Jr. To play better, because he had 2 bad drops. The one wide open one, middle of the field.
Game altering.
Might have scored on.
Game altering.
And one in the end zone, which was a tougher play, but had 2 huge drops. He's been a problem for them. The Arizona Cardinals, to my surprise, because I'm not, I love Kyler Murray's, highlight tape, because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But nothing else that he does is usually pretty good.
He's played well this year.
He's playing very well 3 games in.
Yeah.
The coach used to be with the Eagles, of course.
I get it. I don't like him, but that's because of how he left.
But Duke can coach.
Yeah, he looks like he can.
The Arizona Cardinals, not in my top 5, but honorable mention. How come the Colts are in top 5? Look, they're in a terrible division right now. The Texans stink. No one believes that Tennessee stinks and Jacksonville's average. So they could actually steal that division. They're 3-0. They're favorites to do that now. And Taylor's a great running back. And Steichen, I think, is a really good coach. And Daniel Jones playing good football, I need to see the Colts really beat a good team. And you might say to me, well, what about the Denver game? The Denver game they stole because of the officials. Broncos got called for a bogus penalty on a field goal.
Yeah.
What's it called?
They said the guy leaped on something, but that wasn't true.
Right.
The guy just jumped on his own.
Colts missed the field goal.
Right.
Then they got a 15-yard penalty and made what amounted to a chip shot field goal. So they kind of stole that victory, which is why they're not top 5.
Fair enough.
Okay?
Yep.
I'll tell you another team not in my top 5. There's one undefeated team not in my top 5. And that right now is San Francisco 49ers. You know, I'm very good friends with Robert Saleh. Their defense has been awesome, money good. Mac Jones is not very good. We've got to wait for Purdy to come back. They've already dealt with injuries. Bosa out for the year now.
Yeah, something to watch.
Torn ACL. So I know they're undefeated. But sometimes when you look inside it and you want to see how the sausage is made a little bit, they are not playing great football and are very lucky right now to be 3-0.
Couple of health code violations, you're saying, when you go to look under the hood.
Yeah, you don't. Sometimes you just want to eat the sausage.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see how the sausage is made.
Like at a New York place, they might have like a C or a D on the window, not an A.
Right.
Because of what's going on in the kitchen.
Right, and they might be hiding the C or B, tell you they got an A. Just eat the sausage. Don't look. Don't ask how it's made. And that's the deal in San Francisco. 3-0. They and the Colts are the 2 3-0 teams that are not in my top 5. So
fair.
that brings me to the 5th best team right now. And you're going to say, wait a minute. If the San Fran's not in and Indy's not in, how can this team be top 5? And it's frankly, it's subjective. But I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-0 at number 5. Tampa Bay could be 0-3. All 3 of their games needed a Baker Mayfield, not final 2 minutes, not final 4 minutes, final minute of the game, a score at the end of the game to win all 3 games, including their win on Sunday against the New York Jets.
Yeah.
The reason they're 5th is because they have what San Fran right now doesn't have, and I don't believe Indy has just yet. Indiana Jones can prove me wrong at some point later this season.
Takes longer than 3 games.
They've got a quarterback who's as good or better than anybody. Game on the line, final 2 minutes. Remember yesterday we did the thing?
Yeah.
Down by 6, 2 minutes on your own, 20, no timeouts. Who do you want? Mahomes is the easy answer. The best guy in the league right now, today, in the moment, happens to be Baker Mayfield.
He's an excellent quarterback. He's grown on me. I think he's grown on the league. I think he's actually underrated at this point.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. $100 million guy, well-deserved. And he's the reason Tampa is 3-0. So I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And my buddy Sterling Shepard, who wasn't even going to play any more football, retired 2 years ago until Baker called him and said, yo, just come out and see what you got.
Yeah.
And now he's had a huge catch for 30 or 20 yards or so against the Jets that led them to the game-winning field goal.
And Godwin's been out, so no telling where that offense can get. Yeah.
All right, the 4th best team in the NFL right now, the LA Chargers. That's right. My guy, Jim Harbaugh, the far better Harbaugh brother, by the way.
Oh, he is.
If Jimmy was in Baltimore and John was in LA, the Ravens might have 4 or 5 Super Bowl trophies.
Yeah.
I really believe that. So, look, the Chargers, Justin Herbert, come from behind, win again, had the great 4th down touchdown pass to Keenan Allen. They can run the ball. They've got a really good offensive line. And defensively, they're making plays now. The Chargers, to me, are the biggest threat. They're also undefeated. They're also first place. They also beat Kansas City week 1 out in Brazil. Yeah. But they are the biggest threat to ending the Chiefs' supremacy in the division. And the Broncos aren't close yet.
And the people... for the people that may have missed, why do you think Herbert's raised his level of play?
Oh, Herbert's playing balls out crazy good because he's now dating Madison Beers.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just want the people out there to know. Right.
Like, and when you're Justin Herbert, once you get the right woman, football is easy. It's when you're dating these Hooters girls and strippers that football becomes a problem.
Right.
Once you get the right woman and you have nothing that she needs, right? Because she can date
her own money. Right, she got her own money,
she's
too.
She's wealthy,
right.
She's famous, and she's rich.
She's with him because she likes him.
Right.
That's the only reason.
And he has outkicked his coverage. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, he did.
As good as he is on a football field. But there's a reason they're undefeated.
Oh, yeah.
Because someone's taking care of him at home. And I tell you guys, it's the most important thing. You got the right woman next to you. You got the right woman, there ain't nothing you can't do. You got the wrong woman, your life's over. There's nothing you can do. All right, so sorry about that. Chargers are my fourth best team in football. Third best team, I know you're going to hate this in Orchard Park, but it's the Bills. I know the Bills are sitting there 3-0. Let's be fair. They played the Jets. They played the Dolphins. They played two teams who combined are 0-6. Yeah. Mad credit for the come-from-behind win week 1. I give that to you. Josh Allen's as good or better than any quarterback in football. I would never go against Josh Allen. But I need to see the Bills start beating good teams. Not their fault. You play who's on your schedule. Yeah. But you'll see once I tell you the top 2 teams why the Bills aren't first and why they're not second. But I do have the Buffalo Bills right now as the highest-ranked AFC team. So if you're a Bills fan, you can thank me. You could come in a little pat on the back. Little pat on the back. Thank you, Craigie. You finally put us where we belong. Best team in the AFC. I got you. Brings me to number 2. Second best team in all of football right now, Philadelphia Eagles. Now, hold on a second before you guys all get your panties in a bunch up there in Philadelphia. Why? How come we're the number 1? You hate Philadelphia. Because you haven't played great. That's why. You have one half of really good offensive football, and it was the second half in the come-from-behind win against the Rams at home. A game that without not 1 but 2 blocked field goals, you don't win that game. So I think we may have now opened up an offensive juggernaut based on the second half.
Perhaps.
But let's be fair about what we've seen thus far out of Philadelphia. We've seen a bad running offense. We've seen almost no passing offense, again, other than the final 30 minutes where Jalen Hurts was awesome in the win against the Rams. But we have not seen a full 60-minute dominant performance yet by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if you ask them with Wonder Woman's golden lasso, making them tell the truth tightly around them, they would tell you the same thing.
Yeah, they've said it already, and that's why this week's game against Tampa, at Tampa, 1 o'clock on Sunday, is such a big game.
Yeah, speaking of Wonder Woman, when she was in the invisible plane, could you still see her, or did she get the cloak of invisibility as well?
I think you can see her, so that's why I think she avoided the bathroom.
So you just see her sitting there like flying through the sky, but
that's
on a plane?
why she didn't go to the bathroom.
Okay,
because you'd see her go to the bathroom. That's no good.
Just checking. Yeah. And the best team in football after last night's wrap to week 3 are the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, I got manhandled week 1, but you come back and put that kind of performance on the field against what I think is the best offensive team in football, and you dominate their defense. The Detroit Lions are back. I questioned it going in. I thought they were going to lose by double digits. They didn't. They proved me wrong. The Lions right now are the best team in the NFL. Much more coming up right after this.
Credit to the Giants, who were so good in April and then since then just kind of fell apart. Now they're back in it again. I think the Mets will get in. But it is fascinating that they'll play the Marlins here the last 3 games of the season. And I know without a doubt that the Marlins are going to line up Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and their top guys to try and beat the Mets.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is the biggest story in sports. It is the ability to predict outcomes in sports without calling it sports betting. But I guess Massachusetts doesn't like it very much, and they're saying basically you can't operate in our market without having a license like FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're coming at this company, Robinhood, who you may be familiar with. Robinhood right now says, hey, we should be able to operate just like these other companies.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left on it for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The biggest games, the biggest bets that you need to know. So much fun already, Joe. I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm
we got
having a good
lot
time.
of information
Loving
now.
it. Yeah. Good games, not great, but again, it's college football. You can bet on them, nothing better.
Bet it, win it. By the way, and I always like to say this, and it's true. Like, you can have the worst game in the world. You cash your ticket, it's like a Picasso. Like, that game was the best game I ever watched in my life.
Are you kidding? Especially when you're hitting parlays.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Great to have you here. Something's happening right now in sports involving Americans that just drove me crazy yesterday reading about it.
Huh?
This is one of the most highly anticipated Ryder Cups, I think, in a long time.
It is.
You know, it's every 2 years. It feels you don't follow golf, and I'm not a huge golf guy. But Ryder Cup special, it's every 2 years. It's USA versus Europe. It's kind of what I want the NBA All-Star Game to become, USA versus the world.
Yeah.
Right, which I think would be awesome, and I can't guarantee that we'd win, sadly enough, right now. But the European team does this for, like, the love of the sport and the fact that they love representing their respective countries and Europe at large. It's a very big deal to these guys. Kind of like being on an Olympic team,
right?
You know, that sort of thing, right? This is like our version of Golf Olympics, I guess. But when it comes to the Americans, and this, I just got a bad taste in my mouth about this. You're talking about guys like Scotty Scheffler, best golfer in the world, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Schauffele, Spawn, English, Bryson DeChambeau, like all household names, the best golfers that our country has, right?
Yeah.
The European golfers are going into this because they want to beat America. That rivalry still exists.
Mm-hmm.
We want to show the world we're better than America. And largely they have been.
Unfortunately.
I think they've got the all-time record against us, right? And in my lifetime, I don't remember how often the Americans have won. I think Europe's got us in my lifetime, right? But it turns out that the American players are each getting $500,000 from PGA of America to participate in this, okay? Now, to be fair, the way the $500,000 works is this. $300,000 of it goes to the charity of their choosing.
Okay.
All right?
That's nice.
Great. Great. Now, that means that you'll have 12 different charities in theory that get a big check for $300,000.
Great.
I think that's awesome.
It's amazing.
Right? But $200,000, far more than most Americans make in the course of a year, go to the player to keep for themselves.
Oh.
So I wondered, are they playing because they're proud to wear the red, white, and blue, and we want to beat Europe back to Europe, right? And show the world that we're the best golfers collectively. We know that Scheffler is, but collectively, does America now own the trophy as the golf-dominant country in the world, right?
Yeah.
And yet these guys won't do it without taking a check. And that's what rankles me. Now, I want to be further fair about this. Bryson DeChambeau, who I love, came out yesterday and said, I'm giving a whole $500,000 to charity. I've been blessed. I've made over $200 million in my lifetime. I'm going to make a lot more money. I'm going to give every penny of the $500,000 to the charity of my choice, right?
Yeah.
But not every guy is. And now the issue is they've apparently told PGA of America to let the media know that's covering the Ryder Cup, don't ask. Because there are some guys that are pocketing the $200K. And I guess you could say, look, it's their personal time. It's a 5-6 day commitment. I know the tournament's 3 days, but they got to be there, I think, all week long.
Oh, yeah, they got to do all, there's a lot of commitments.
They should be compensated for their time. I say F that. Like, you're blessed. You've made tens and hundreds of millions of dollars playing golf. I don't begrudge that. You have a skill most people don't have. But isn't there something you can do without having to have a price tag attached to it? I know that's so naive of me, and I know better.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice if just once in a while somebody said, I'm so proud to represent my country in this sporting event that I'll do it for free. Because I want to rock the red, white, and blue. I want to win. I want to hear the Star-Spangled Banner. And you don't have to pay me to do it. And it started with the Dream Team. I'm going all the way back. Because the Dream Team, for them to commit back in the 92 Olympics, they got $1 million each.
Yeah.
And they took that money.
And they should have.
Now,
different
what?
days. They should have.
Michael Jordan needed $1 million.
Back then, yeah, the money was different then. The money was different then.
The money was different then. But Charles Barkley didn't need no $1 million in 1992.
LeBron and Curry and them did not make a lot of money just this past Olympics.
I'd have to check. I don't know what they got.
No, they didn't make a lot of money.
I bet they got something.
They got something, but
and that's the problem. That's why other countries are starting to surpass us athletically.
No.
They do it for the love, and we got our hands out.
No, the other players got paid. Slovenians got paid. They all got paid. paid in basketball.
Slovenia pay Slovenians?
Because they got money. I don't know where they get the money from. I don't know Slovenia like that.
They ain't got no money.
What if they get their money from dirty means? I don't know like that.
You think they went to Luka and said, here's $1 million, whatever Slovenian dollars?
No, they don't do it for free.
Come on
Those
now.
other countries, they don't do it for free.
Yes, they do.
No, these golfers do it. I respect that. I love it.
The golfers do it for free. Like Rory McIlroy said, I would never take a nickel to play in the Ryder Cup.
I respect that.
Because the pride of winning the Ryder Cup.
I respect that.
Americans, we got our hands out all the time. Like we're begging on the streets of New York City. Please, sir, may I have some more? Please, sir.
Look at all that money these guys. So look at that graphic. Real fast, just to give you the update.
Yeah.
Overall, the U.S. has won more Ryder Cups, but, and it's a huge but, Europe has now won 10 of the last 14.
That's my lifetime.
Yeah, 10 of the last 14.
Because I'm only 28. So almost every Ryder Cup I've seen, my country has lost.
Well, you started having kids young.
But I did. When I was 15, I started adopting. Scheffler's made $172 million. Justin Thomas has made over $70 million. Morikawa's made over $45 million. DeChambeau's given a whole nut to charity.
No, this is without endorsements.
He's a good man.
This is without endorsements. Also, Schauffele's made $93 million.
Schauffele's made $93
without
million.
endorsements. That's just from the golf.
Right, not endorsements. And you tell me Cuz can't come up with $200K for charity?
Of course he can. Now, here's my issue, though, with like DeChambeau and those guys. I respect you not getting all the money. Don't choke this time.
Yes, you got to win.
Don't choke this time.
That's a fair point Tyron's making. Because let me be further honest with the audience. Yeah. If I had my choice as an American who does pay attention to the Ryder Cup, I'm not a golf guy,
but I
watch the Masters, I watch the U.S. Open, I watch the Ryder Cup every 2 years. That's the extent of my golf watching. Unless Tiger's playing, I watch every shot Tiger takes. Of course. Because he's Michael Jordan, not a golf course, right? And that's just my honest answer about golf. I don't talk golf. I don't want to hear about your golf game. I don't care about your golf game. I watch 3 tournaments, and that's every other year because the Ryder Cup's not every year. If you ask me the question, if I had a choice, the guys get paid and we as a country win, and I hear my anthem, not their anthems, at the end of it, or my guys don't get paid and by proxy, we don't get as good a team and we lose, you put me in a tough spot, Tyrone. Then pay the man his money. Pay the man his money. Check, 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 check. More show coming up right after this. Come on, everybody.
Frank Reich is the head coach. You beat Stanford to end that season to clinch that 10th win, the hottest team in the country. You can't keep them out, Joe.
So now Stanford, because they beat Boston College last week, okay.
Notre Dame's in the top 25 today. They're going to have 10 straight victories. There's no way they stay out. Now, are you telling me that they're going to get tripped up by NC State?
NC State's
Devin Leary still there? I don't even know.
NC State, Dave Torrance there.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Mike McDaniel got a personal victory.
Yeah, he get fired on the tarmac. Okay, I can go
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Well, this has been my take on the Dolphins. I think you'll agree. The more they lose, Tyreek Hill becomes the most important player in football. Because Tyreek Hill getting traded becomes likelier and likelier.
Yeah.
And Don, he's not going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns.
Correct.
This is a guy who's going to shift Super Bowl markets if he is dealt.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
NFL season with about 750,000 downloads. Really interesting when you look at the 3rd and the 4th spot. You have Bet365 and Fanatics, which were, again, that first week, they were the only sports books that grew. The good news for the other sports books in terms of downloads this week is even when you take out Fanatics and Bet365, app downloads still grew about 20% across the board overall.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left on it for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here. If you are checking, he took one on the chin yesterday. I had the wrong side of last night's game. Most people did too, so it's all good. You still got a winning record this year, so it's all good. Time for some news and notes before we get out of here for the day. I'm starting to feel like an hour maybe is not enough. We'll see. So I get the itch, maybe do more. All right, number one, Lane Kiffin, who's my favorite college coach of all time down at Ole Miss. They're going to make the tournament this year, by the way. They're awesome.
I think they beat LSU Saturday, by the way.
They play LSU.
Yeah, I think they're going to win.
This is like one of the premier matchups. It's a great weekend of college football coming up, by the way. More on that later in the week. But Lane Kiffin, by most standards, has a very attractive daughter. I don't like talking about people's kids, but they put this out.
By conventional standards, she's attractive.
Yes, by conventional standards. Like, she's not a furry. She doesn't have, like, weird piercings. Yeah. You know, she's not on a boat in the Middle East, railing about, global warming. She's just a good old, honest, attractive American college kid, right? And I want to be clear. I would never bring this up except the Kiffins put this out themselves, so now we're allowed to talk about it. So LSU plays Ole Miss. Her dad's head coach of Ole Miss. She's dating the starting linebacker and captain of the LSU Tigers. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look.
I mean,
like, if I'm Lane Kiffin and I have a daughter, so I know I'm going to have to deal with this at some level at some point. She's going to fall in love. She's going to put pictures up there.
Yeah, she's an adult.
She's 25.
Yeah.
There'll come a day when I'm like, really, you had to.
Yeah.
So I feel for Lane Kiffin, but there ain't nothing we can do as dads about this. That's why I'm blessed to have 3 sons. Because when you're the father of the son, that's the best picture I've ever seen. So it does add to the wrinkle.
But Lane jumps in
of this game.
Yeah, he jumps in. He jumps in on social media. He says, take the over. Remember, he's a linebacker. He's saying we about to run the score up on the Sun.
Lane said,
I like it.
You're going to want to, no longer date my daughter after I put a 40 burger on the LSU defense.
Yeah,
so good little, fun little side
cool.
story.
Yeah.
And Lane is pretty open about his relationship. He and his wife had gotten a divorce or estranged. They're back together now.
It's good to see.
Family's all good. So fun little story there, especially for those of us who have daughters. We feel Lane Kiffin's pain. Number 2, you got Cowboys-Packers this weekend. Packers, as it should be, about a touchdown favorite after that Dallas Cowboy embarrassment in Chicago. Somebody asked Jerry Jones if they would play a tribute video to Micah pregame. Yeah. Now, I got to be clear. I hate it when a team does that. You no longer play for us. You're still playing in the NFL. Yeah. You demanded a trade. And, oh, by the way, you didn't win. Like, I save tribute videos for the guys that won for my franchise or had long careers with my franchise. Micah Parsons played 4 years with the Dallas Cowboys, never got past the second round of the playoffs, meaning never played an NFC Championship game, never played in a Super Bowl. And then demanded a trade out of Dallas. Why in the world would the Dallas Cowboys give him a video?
You would.
So I know most people disagree with a lot of what Jerry Jones says and does. I'm in 100% lockstep with Jerry Jones on this one. That dude don't get a video.
I agree with that part. Now,
right?
I think he was right to ask for a trade.
The only thing worse than giving a video to a guy that wanted out, who never won anything with your franchise, is when some franchises, it's rare, but I know it's happened here in New York a few times, when they do a tribute video for an opponent who has owned them and is now retiring, believe it or not, the New York Mets, who are in a free fall right now, on the outside looking in, they gave a tribute video to Chipper Jones, who destroyed them when he played for the Atlanta Braves, and they won like 11 straight division titles.
Yeah.
The Mets honored him.
That's not right.
And as a former Met fan, I want to vomit in my mouth. That guy's the enemy. I'm not giving that dude a video. And that guy trolled us when he had his firstborn son. He named him Shea after Shea Stadium where the Mets play. So good job by Jaron Jones this one. Micah don't get no video. And then the final one is Deion Sanders was on the New Heights podcast with the Kelseys. And I'm sick and tired of the Kelseys. That's enough already. And they talked about why Shadur Sanders said no to being drafted by the Eagles and being a backup to Jalen Hurts, why he said no to being drafted by the Ravens and being a backup for the next 10 years to Lamar Jackson. And Deion Sanders said, I told him to say no because in my experience, and I'm paraphrasing here, I never learned nothing sitting on the bench. And okay, the problem with that is Deion never sat on the bench.
Come on.
Deion was the best athlete since he's 5 years old on every team, for every school, for every franchise he ever played for, not just in football, but in baseball too.
Right.
He never sat on the bench and had to learn anything. His son isn't him. Now, if you want to go to a place that gives you a higher likelihood of playing, I get that. Kids want to play.
Right.
But don't say you said no to Philly and Baltimore because you can't learn from being on the bench when you never played on the bench. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.